Hello everyone, I welcome you all in this class for grade 7 science, and today we are about to discuss about chapter 6 temperature and heat. So let's get started with our topic. We all know that the objects in our surrounding either can be warm, hot, cool or cold. This totally depends on the amount of heat they contain. We can identify an object as hot or cold simply by touching it. However, we cannot tell exactly how hot or how cold an object is unless we measure it. And the measurement of the degree of hotness or coldness of an object is considered to be the temperature of the object. So, we can say that if the object has high temperature, it will feel hot. Or we also can say that if the object has a low temperature, it will feel cold. How do we measure the temperature? We basically use a device called thermometer to measure the temperature. It uses the unit called degree, and the temperature is basically measured on two scales, either the Celsius scale or the Fahrenheit scale. We use degree C sign and degree F sign respectively for Celsius scale and Fahrenheit scale. Fahrenheit scale is mostly popular in the region of United States, whereas Celsius scale is opted by Canada region. In short, we can say that thermometer is an instrument that measures temperature. So, if suppose you want to measure the temperature of a human body, you would probably prefer the measurement in Fahrenheit scale. But if you are measuring the temperature of a liquid, you would prefer Celsius scale. Now let's see the thermometers that are used to measure the temperature. They are of three types: the clinical thermometers, the digital thermometers and the laboratory thermometers. What are clinical thermometers? These thermometers are basically used to measure the temperature of a body. Nowadays they are not much used because they are fragile, and spilling of mercury which is present inside it may lead to users' death as well. Now, construction of clinical thermometer. How does it look like? It consists of a long narrow glass tube with two parts called bulb and stem. The mercury is filled inside the bulb, and this bulb is connected to the tube. When the temperature of the thermometer rises, the mercury also starts rising. And when the temperature goes down, the mercury also comes down in the capillary tube. But to stop the sudden fall of the mercury, there is a kink which is fit in the bottom of the capillary tube. For your information, the normal temperature of human body is 98.6 degree Fahrenheit, and in degree Celsius it is 37 degree Celsius. Let's see what is digital thermometer. Nowadays a digital thermometer is mostly used instead of clinical thermometer because it is an electronical thermometer, so it consists of a display screen which shows the exact number of the temperature. Also, it does not have a mercury inside it. That is the advantage, that there is no danger of spilling the poisonous mercury in case it breaks. The laboratory thermometer. This laboratory thermometer is mostly used to measure the temperature of inanimate objects. It is generally used in the laboratory while performing experiment to measure the temperature of solution under study. How does it look like? It is longer than the clinical thermometer and is made up of thin glass tube sealed at one end and a bulb with mercury on the other hand. The working mechanism of it is the same as the clinical thermometer. It measures temperature by the rise or fall of the mercury, but it does not have a bend or a kink present in it. It generally measures the temperature between -10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. Suppose you want to convert the temperature from Celsius scale to Fahrenheit scale or Fahrenheit scale to Celsius scale, you could use the method of conversion from one scale to another. Here we use two basic formulas. The first is degree Celsius to Fahrenheit. That is C is equal to F minus 32 multiplied by 5 upon 9. And another one is Fahrenheit to degree Celsius. This is F is equal to C multiplied by 9 upon 5 plus 32. How do we do it? First is how to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. Suppose you have 55 degrees Celsius. Just put the value of 55 at the place of C and calculate it. You would be getting 131 degree Fahrenheit. And in this manner, 55 degrees Celsius would be equal to 131 degree Fahrenheit, and your temperature has been converted from Celsius to Fahrenheit. When you have to convert the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius, use the formula C is equal to 5 upon 9 F minus 32. Now, here what you can do, simply put the value 86 degree in place of Fahrenheit. You may have another number, accordingly you use it. After doing calculation, you would be getting 30 degrees Celsius, and in this manner we could say that 86 degree Fahrenheit is equal to 30 degree Celsius. Let's move to the next topic, that is heat. We all know that heat is a form of energy which flows from a region of higher temperature to the region of lower temperature. This flow or transfer of heat will be continued unless the both regions attain the same temperature. Now, what are the effects of heat? We all know that heat could have physical and chemical effects or changes as well. The physical changes that occur due to the effect of heat are change in temperature. You must have observed that the tea which is kept is hot, but after 15 minutes or 20 minutes it would be cool. So in this manner the temperature of the tea has been changed, and it happens because of the heat. Second, the change of state. If you will put your ice cream in a plate for some time, after some time the solid ice cream will convert into liquid, and this is called the change of state. The thermal expansion. Thermal expansion can be explained in such a manner that when you are putting some liquid material, it will start expanding because of the heat, and it will take the place whatever present there. The chemical changes that occur because of it, on heating the reactants, we get some different products, like you are getting rice cake after heating the raw rice. Now, the transfer of heat. Transfer of heat can happen because of the change in temperature, and it happens in three different ways: conduction, convection and radiation. So let's see how conduction, convection and radiation are differ from each other and what are their meanings. Number one, conduction. Transfer of heat through direct contact is called conduction. Here, in this process, heat is transferred from the hotter region of an object to the colder region by the collision of constituent atoms or molecules. Heat transfer of this method is mostly used by the solids. When an object is heated, its particles gain heat, energy, and they begin to vibrate rapidly. The particles closer to the source of heat gain energy faster. These hot vibrating particles collide with the nearby colder particles, which in turn start vibrating. Heat is transferred from one particle to the next in this way, and in this process the conduction takes place. Here the two important things are the object should be in contact and there should be a difference of the temperature between the two objects. And when you are talking about conduction, you should know about conductors and insulators as well. The materials that allow heat to be conducted easily through them are called conductors. The metals like iron, copper, silver and aluminium are the examples of conductors. Whereas the materials which do not allow the heat to be conducted through them are called insulators. The wood, plastic, fur and air are the examples of insulators. You must be knowing that for cooking utensils we use aluminium. Do you know the reason? Yes, because aluminium is a good conductor of heat and it heats your food faster. The second method of heat transfer is convection. It is the process by which heat gets transferred from a hotter region to colder region by the actual movement of particles. This type of heat transfer mostly occurs in liquid and gases. When a liquid or gas is heated, the particles near the source of heat becomes hot and they move upwards. In turn, the cooler particles from the above move downwards and get heated. This happens till all the particles get the heat energy. When you are talking about convection, there are two important topics: the sea breezes and the land breezes. During daytime, the land becomes hot faster than the sea. So the air above the land gets heated faster than the air above sea. The air above land rises and cooler air from the sea rushes towards land to take its place. This cool air from the sea blowing towards the land is called as sea breeze. The another one is the land breeze. During night, the land cools down much faster than the sea. So the air above the land cools faster than the air above the sea. The warm air above the sea rises up and the cool air above the land rushes to take its place. This cool air that moves from land to the sea is considered to be the land breeze. So you can summarize it in simple manner. The air which moves from sea to the land during the daytime is called sea breeze, and the air which moves from the land towards the sea in the night is called land breeze. The third method of heat transfer is radiation. In this process, heat is transferred without any contact between the heat source and the heated object. We feel the heat from the sun even though we are not touching it. Heat from the sun reaches us by the method called radiation, because the radiation does not require any medium to transfer of heat. What are the applications of these radiation? See, we could use this radiation of heat by the following methods, like solar cookers trap the heat from the sun, which is used for cooking food. The electric heaters have a mirror behind the heating coil. This mirror reflects the heat radiated by the heating coil to the front of the heater and we feel warm. The warming hands in winter around a bonfire is also an application of radiation. I hope you understood the things. So that's all for the day. Thank you. Have a nice day.